Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with a Spain news update. We'll take a look at some of the stories that have caught my attention in the press today here in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported this channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the super thanks option on YouTube, longer term supporters on Patreon, and the channel members of this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news. And one of the big stories today relates to the Spain-Gibraltar border and the physical fence that separates those two areas in the south of Spain. And it's good news because, as we can read here, Spain and the UK plan to remove the Gibraltar border fence by January 2026. The border fence separating Gibraltar from Spain, the last physical barrier on continental Europe aside from Cyprus, could be dismantled in early 2026. Negotiators from Brussels, Madrid and London aim to finalise the legal text of the EU-UK agreement by October, allowing ratification around Christmas and implementation in January. Gibraltar's Chief Minister Fabian Picardo confirmed all parties are working towards the fastest possible timeline. The agreement builds on the political pact reached in June after lengthy four-way talks between London, Madrid, Brussels and Gibraltar, resolving key issues such as indirect taxation and Schengen border controls. The draft text in English is nearly complete, though EU sources warn that translation into 23 languages and approval by the European Parliament may cause delays. Spain will need to push diplomatically to secure ratification, with comparisons drawn to similar agreements with Andorra and San Marino, which took a year. So there we go, some big news as far as Spain and Gibraltar are concerned. The removal of that fence could be happening as soon as 2026, January 2026, if politicians can act swiftly. But as we also saw in that text, there could be some problems as far as the European Union is concerned, getting the important document translated into all of the different languages. So some good news, I think, for people in that part of the country. Finally, the end of the physical fence that has been separating those two areas for a long time now. Second piece of news now, and a piece of news that Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez won't like reading, because apparently his approval rating has plummeted mid-term. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has seen his popularity collapse midway through his term. According to a Sigma DOS poll for El Mundo, Sánchez scores just 3 out of 10, a sharp fall from 4.3 2 years ago, and only a tenth of a point above Vox leader Santiago Abascal, the least valued politician. The survey was conducted before this summer's wildfire crisis. The decline is tied to corruption scandals affecting senior PSOE figures and Sanchez's inner circle. It is also hitting electoral prospects. If elections were held today, the Socialists would win 108 seats, 13 fewer than in 2023, making another left-wing coalition arithmetically impossible. Even among PSOE voters, his rating has dropped steeply from 6.5% last summer to 5.4% a year later, though it has recently inched up to 5.8%. The data reflect growing disillusionment as Sánchez reaches the legislature's halfway point. So there we go. According to that poll carried out by the El Mundo newspaper, Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez's popularity dropping, and now the second least popular politician in the country, just above Santiago Abascal. And why has Sánchez's popularity dropped? Well, as we saw in that text there also, it's all due to the corruption scandals that have surrounded his political party for the last couple of years. And let's be honest about this, he wasn't all that popular before the last elections, and he's even less popular now. But this is only one poll that was carried out by a newspaper that is not overly government friendly. Third piece of news now, and an update on the wildfires situation that have been wreaking havoc in many parts of Spain in recent weeks. And as we can read here, wildfires have forced hundreds to evacuate in León as Ourense burns. Spain's wildfire emergency emergency deepened on Sunday as new outbreaks reignited in Leon, while thousands of hectares continued to burn in Ourense, Galicia. Authorities described the situation as critical, with entire villages forced to evacuate. In Leon, contrasting reports emerged. The regional government praised positive progress, yet two fresh blazes quickly set off alarms. In Garanño, a fire erupted in the afternoon, devastating everything in its path and forcing residents of Viñallo, Pedrasecha, Portilla de Luna and Sagüera de Luna to flee. Soon after, another blaze in Molina Seca triggered evacuations in the town itself and in Lombillo de los Barrios, part of Ponferrada. Nearly 400 people were displaced by these two fires alone. Across the province, 716 residents from 12 villages remain evacuated, including those from Fasgar and nearby areas. While most comply with civil protection orders, some locals refuse to abandon their homes despite the danger. So unfortunately, many fires still burning out of control in northern Spain, in the province of Ourense in Galicia, and also in the Ponferrada area of Leon. And if I'm not mistaken, there are pilgrim routes of the Santiago de Compostela that pass through some of the towns that were mentioned in that last article. So if you are on the Camino in that part of Spain, take care and listen to what the experts say. And if they tell you to get out, get out. Now let's take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers. One here from Lucius: does not matter how popular another language becomes in the UK, it just means it becomes the language that UK students study but still not learn. English people tend to suck at foreign languages, with some exceptions of course. Yeah, Lucius, thanks for the comment, and related to an article that we saw the other day that said that the Spanish language has overtaken the French language as the second language of choice for high school students in the United Kingdom. Various reasons were put forward as to why Spanish has become number one. For example, the amount of people that have come to Spain on holidays over the years, obviously that influence has rubbed off, and also the spread of Spanish culture into mainstream United States culture, especially through movies and through music. But as we saw in that comment, people like Lucius are skeptical that the UK will become a force when it comes to second languages, because historically, as pointed out in that comment too, people generally suck when it comes to speaking a second language, with some exceptions of course. One here from Silent Ronan: hi Stu, reports here in Germany have mentioned that many tourists have chosen other destinations due to media reports on the hostility towards tourists. Mallorca businesses noticed a decrease of German holiday makers and complained about it. However, Spain is still the number one destination despite the number of Germans visiting Spain decreasing. Great vlog. Yes, Silent Ronan, thanks for the comment, and good to see that you enjoy the content that I put out on this channel. We saw in yesterday's live stream that Spain will most likely not hit the 100 million foreign visitor mark that it was planning on reaching this year because of a slump in the German market. For various reasons, fewer Germans have decided to spend their holidays in Spain this year. I think a slump in the German economy was one of the main reasons, but maybe what Silent Ronan mentions there, those anti-tourism protests that have taken place in Spain over the last few years, might have deterred a few Germans from visiting as well. I don't know. So we'll see if the German economy starts to pick up and people in that country have a bit more confidence when it comes to taking international holidays to places like Spain. And we'll also see if those pesky protesters in places like the Balearic Islands stop their protests and trying to destroy the Spanish tourism market. One here from Caroline: the lack of educated politicians all around the world. No culture, no upbringing, only crude methods of engaging in some sort of dialogue. Yeah, Caroline, thanks for the comment, and not sure if you are referring to any particular politician there. I know one politician that springs to mind that fits the description that you mentioned, but it is true that around the world we seem to have a lack of educated politicians that are able to express their ideas through dialogue and not only criticize their opposition and blame everything on the opposing parties. One here from Ray: I'm right there with you on the introduction of nasty fast food chains in Spain. I was very disappointed disappointed to know there are Burger Kings and McDonald's in Estepona. Tragic. Yeah, Ray, thanks for the comment, and it is a shame in my opinion that there are so many of these fast food chains popping up all around the country, even in places like Estepona, but I suppose it's supply and demand. These companies obviously do their research and know what areas to target, and the location of some of these fast food restaurants also leaves a lot to be desired. For example, here where I live on the outskirts of Madrid, they've recently opened a Burger King smack bang between two primary schools. So what's the first thing that those kids see when they come out of school every day? Look, Mum, Burger King. Yum, yum. And the final comment here from Caballo: the autonomous communities hold the legal competencies as far as emergencies and civilians' protection is concerned. Yeah, Caballo, thanks for the comment and thanks for clearing that one up, that it is the autonomous communities that have the legal competencies as far as these emergencies are concerned, like, for example, the wildfires that we are currently experiencing. In recent times, given the fires that have devastated many parts of the country, there's been a lot of toing and froing between the autonomous community governments here in Spain and the central government as to who should be doing what, when they should be doing it, and who is responsible for it. We saw the same problems with the Dana last year in the Valencian community, and this year, unfortunately, it's happening again. And while all of this political squabbling is happening, people living in these affected areas are left scratching their heads, wondering what to do. It's a shame. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss a video when I publish it. Until the next one, hasta luego from the outskirts of Madrid.